most of my patients exercise so they can eat, and I don't want to have them robbed of that great experience. I love food. I love all kinds of food. And so if I can't eat a hamburger, for example, then I like hamburgers every once in a while.
At Integrative Nutrition, we talk a lot about the idea of primary food, which is everything that feeds you that doesn't come on a plate. Your physical exercise, relationships, career, spirituality. And we all know that exercise is good for us, but what if you thought about exercise as more than just a piece of nourishment, but as a daily prescription? So today we are talking with Dr. Jordan Metzl, who is a nationally recognized sports medicine doctor, who is also the author of The Exercise Cure. And I'm very excited to have him as a new addition to the Integrative Nutrition community. How important is the nutrition component? Obviously, at Integrative Nutrition, we are very passionate about the food that we put into our bodies. How important is that, and do exercise and nutrition go hand in hand?
Nutrition is certainly part of the equation of what makes somebody healthy and what makes an athlete healthy. I think there are really a few things, including nutrition, activity, sleep. Those are all important things. But the nutrition piece, obviously, I'm here at the School of Integrative Nutrition, is I think hugely important for athlete health and for general health. And I'm not a nutritionist, and so I've kind of come to the belief that I just think, things you find in nature are just better for you, and things that are pre-processed and contain, tons of sugar and spike your blood sugar throughout the day and leave you feeling kind of cranky and tired and less energetic are probably not as good for you. But I am not a food absolutist in any way, nor do I have my patients necessarily become, I'm kind of a holistic, try and eat things that are good for you. But if you have stuff that's not good for you sometimes, I don't think you're going to fall off the end of the earth. And, life is about fun. And most of my patients exercise so they can eat. And I don't want to have them robbed of that great experience. I love food. I love all kinds of food. And so if I can't eat a hamburger, for example, then I like hamburgers every once in a while. Sorry, I just do. I don't know if I'm getting kicked out of the School of Integrative Nutrition, but I do.
There is nothing wrong with that. We always talk about 90-10. 90% of the time, eat exactly what you want. 90% of the time, eat as healthily as you can. 10% of the time, have whatever you want. Because really, if you want a cookie and nothing else is going to do, then what is life without a cookie?
I love a cookie. I agree. I love a cookie. But, from the sports medicine side, I'm all about people kind of ramping up their metabolic rate, kind of turning on their metabolic furnace first thing in the morning, getting out there. At the beginning of Exercise Cure, I have an interesting concept called the exercise wheel, which is, and I think you guys probably face this too, because people come in and they're making unhealthy food choices and they just kind of feel lousy, and the lousier they feel, the more unhealthy food choices they make, and so it just becomes a kind of a self-perpetuating problem. Mm-hmm. And so the idea of the exercise wheel is I don't know where you grew up, but have you ever seen a tractor tire?
I have.
Okay, fine. So if I was going to say if there's a tractor tire, so I want you to get this tractor tire and roll it from here to the other side of the room, the biggest amount of energy expended to get that tractor tire from here to there is
lifting it up.
Getting up and getting it rolling. And so I think with nutrition and definitely with kind of the things I talk about, being an active person, the toughest challenge is getting it from here to rolling. And once it's rolling, it just rolls a lot easier. And I think that model, as people are more active, they make better exercise choices, they make better food choices, they make just better choices in general. Which is why I think you can kind of really change people's behaviors one step at a time, and it just has lifelong implications.
Absolutely. So you often teach that you don't necessarily need to go to the gym to get good exercise in. Just in a few sentences, can you maybe describe what are the most useful gym-free exercises that people can do?
So the term for this is called functional body weight training, or using your body weight to strengthen. The things I love are functional body weight training, and I love increasingly high intensity interval training, or HIIT. And the idea of that is kind of getting your heart rate up high and back down low. I talk about in all the stuff I teach, there are kind of 3 zones of exercise. Zone 1 is what we're in right now, just kind of casually, or New York casually chatting, and it's easy to chat. Zone 2 is kind of like this. So it's a little tougher, but I can still chat. And Zone 3 is like, I can't talk because I'm just dying. And I want people in their workouts to be about a minimum, for their minimum half hour a day, I want at least half that time in Zone 1, 25% in Zone 2, and 25% in Zone 3. So they really got to get their heart rate up there for part of their workout to make it work for them. And so with that, the exercises I love are body weight exercises. Things like I love plyometric exercises, meaning you're kind of rapidly elongating and contracting the muscle. It burns not only a ton of calories, but it revs your heart rate up, builds a ton of strength. So I taught a class this morning all with plyometrics, teaching people how to do that on their own, and they can do all of it at home. So the things I'd say, if you gave me a 3 exercise limit, I would say plyometric jump squats, where you kind of squat all the way down, spreading your feet a little wide, and then easily jumping in the air and ending up right back down in that squat position. And I'd probably say if you can give me 4 or 5 sets of 15 of those, I'd be happy. Following that, I'd love what are called mountain climbers, where you're kind of switching, you know those well, followed by some legs down exercises, and those are great. And then I'd finish with an isometric exercise called a plank. And planks are great to strengthen your core muscles, front and back of your body, and those are terrific. And I finish with about 3 minutes of those, 1 minute in each side position and 1 minute down the front. And I think if you only give me 3 exercises, that's kind of a whole body workout in 3 exercises, I think is going to help.
That's fantastic. What is the most common excuse that you often hear people say for not exercising?
Well, people give all kinds of excuses. Generally, they seek me out because they want to move. So I think people find practitioners, either doctors or nutritionists, that in some ways kind of reinforce what they're doing. And I think so people find me because they want to move and they want to keep moving in general. Every once in a while, I get I don't want to move anymore, but they often will go to see somebody else because they know I'm going to get them going. But I think the most effective tools is knowing what works for you. So some people need, a group. Some people want to go by themselves. Some people do well by paying for 10 personal trainer sessions and saying, I paid for this, I got to go. Some people do best by signing up for a class. Everybody has a different trigger. And I think you have to figure out for yourself what will trigger you and kind of enact that. And again, I like that concept of the wheel, because once you get that wheel turning, it's a lot easier to keep it turning.
Absolutely. Fantastic. So it's just been such a pleasure chatting with you and hearing everything. I'm so excited to have you part of the Integrative Nutrition community and speaking with our students. It's just, I think everything that you're doing is really great, and being able to look at exercises, as you call it, a miracle drug in many ways, is a unique way of looking at it, and very aligned with how we look at everything that feeds you.
It's a pleasure to be here and to learn about what you guys are doing. And I think there's an increasing number of voices kind of all coming to the same conclusion, which is that it's not nutrition, it's not medicine, it's all these things together that make the healthiest person, and we have to figure out the best way to make that happen.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for watching today.
I think there's so much information out there in the world, and there's so much information about health and wellness. Sometimes we can get overwhelmed, what diet to be on, what to do, what kind of exercise program to do. And when you start to really connect with yourself, all those choices become really clear. You say, oh, well, that really feels good for me. Or you start to go into feeling mode instead of thinking and analyzing mode.